So Jeremy's question is as follows. I'm a beginner in TouchDesigner, but I've been using Super Collider and Max for about 10 years. My question for the call is this. I'm confused about where I should and shouldn't use Python in terms of efficiency. In my experience, Python is not the most efficient language, so I am concerned about creating bottlenecks, dropping frame rates, etc. I've noticed that you can, for example, use the frame start and frame end callbacks and then execute that. And given that, as I understand it, TD runs in a single Python thread, what are the best practices for using Python callbacks in TouchDesigner? Also, it would be interesting to hear more general musings on the relationship between Python and TouchDesigner from a workflow perspective. What is the design rationale for using one or the other? Meaning, when do I use network editing and which of the things more suited for Python? One of the things I much prefer in TouchDesigner as opposed to Max is that it seems to thwart awful spaghetti programming, and I'd like some tips to keep it that way. So thank you, Jeremy, for your question. That is quite an interesting one because there's a couple of different angles we can approach it at. And I think, the highest level is people should be excited about Python and TouchDesigner. I feel like a lot of people come to TouchDesigner and they're like, hey, I came to this because it's visual and I don't want to learn Python. It's like programming. I'm trying to get away from programming. But I guarantee you, it doesn't take a lot of Python to really become powerful inside of TouchDesigner. When I was learning Python way back in the day, honestly, I went on Code Academy and I did 10 minutes of Python every day. And 3 weeks later, I was like, I get it. Like, you don't have to go to the end of the earth with the Python you don't have to write these crazy apps and architectures, really just a basic understanding of the language, what variables are, what functions are, how to call different methods and members of classes, like pretty simple stuff that you'll learn within a week or two of using something like Code Academy. I think you'll really find it to be a powerful tool. Now, there's a couple of high-level rules I follow when using Python in general. And the first one might surprise you. And it's funny because I think, when you're going through the stages of your Python journey, you start out and you just want it to work. And then you kind of get into that more intermediate stage and you're like, I'm trying to make it work, but I want to make it work as best as possible. Then you kind of get up into the later stages of your career. You've been doing it for a long time. And oddly enough, your mindset returns back to the beginning where it's just like, I just want to make this work and finish the project and move on and maybe have some dinner with the family for once in my life. So that's kind of a funny way to approach it, but I think it's a natural way to work in TouchDesigner, which is if it works and it doesn't drop frames, generally it's fine. If you don't have bugs in your project, everything's working as expected, you've done some extensive testing, it's fine. You don't have to reinvent, your sphere doesn't have to be perfect. As long as the cart's rolling, like you're okay in life. Now, if we're going to go a little bit deeper than that, because obviously that's not the answer that will please a lot of folks. More technically, I'm picky about what kind of Python I'll run in TouchDesigner, but I make it an explore, like almost more of an exploration process than hard or fast rules. So for example, like when I'm working on a big project and I'm starting to write these scripts, and I'll talk about an example of doing some kind of web request. I'll start the whole project in TouchDesigner. I'll write my request scripts in a TextDat. I'll do any kind of maybe, go into the file system, grabbing files, doing some processing. I'll start that all in TouchDesigner just because it's such an easy place to build these workflows, test these scripts, make sure the process that we're even building for the larger project makes sense. And then as I'm going through this project, I'll start to think to myself, okay, well, what's dropping frames? What's causing issues? What could potentially come back to bite me a little bit later with maybe some edge cases or something like this? So that's kind of that exploration process I'm talking about where I love just starting in TouchDesigner, put everything in there, put the whole kitchen sink in your TouchDesigner project and figure out as you're going through the project, what part of this kitchen sink do I need to clean up? Do I need a jacuzzi in the kitchen? No, like we take that, we put that somewhere else. And, a good example I was saying is this example of doing web requests, because this is something that lots of people want to do in their projects is they want to go out to the web, go talk to some magical API that has a bunch of magical data, and they want to pull it back into their project for what I assume is going to be a magical visualization of some sort. And You'll hear a lot of pros saying, well, you should always do the web request in a separate project, or, do this, or Node-RED, or you'll hear a lot of these different buzzwords, oh, thread it or put it in a separate app. To be honest, when I start, I just do it in the same app. I know it's going to drop frames, but in the early stages of a project, that's usually fine. There's no real issue if I drop frames while I'm just in development. And then it keeps my workflow really smooth. And I think when you start thinking about the long term of your career developing these projects, the less hurdles you can make for yourself as you're working, the better, which is why I kind of lean this way in my workflow, which is just start everything in TouchDesigner. And as things start developing, then I start making decisions about what stays and what goes out. And the web request is a good example, because web requests almost never, I'd say 95% of the time, don't end up staying in the project, but 100% of the time start inside of my project. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can then take something, like for this example of a web request, and figure out where to put it after. And that's why I like to wait through the project process before I start making these grandiose decisions about, this one over here and this one over here, because maybe the script is so simple and it works really well in TouchDesigner, and it's just so easy for me to do the request and then dump it into a table. Moving all of that into some other app or architecture becomes really a headache and more days of labor. So then I can make a more educated decision with more real world data that, hey, maybe my answer for this is just running a separate TouchDesigner project on the same computer and putting the script inside of that, and then it can dump out to a table, and then maybe I can use something like a touch out DAT just to transmit that table data from the side project that's just doing the web request into my main project. Maybe you get to that point in your project where this script is becoming really cumbersome. It's becoming really complicated. There's lots of moving parts. Maybe there's OAuth going back and forth, or some kind of other authentication. And you're actually starting to think to yourself, hey, well, at this point, TouchDesigner is actually making this harder than it is easier. Then similar, you can make that educated decision with the experience and knowledge of that particular project that, maybe the best thing for me to do is just write a separate Python little app, no user interface or nothing, just a command line app that when I run it, I know it's going to efficiently and cleanly do all of this process. And then there's different ways that you can get that data. Maybe you write that data to a file, and TouchDesigner is kind of monitoring for file changes. Maybe there's a small TCP server on your Python app, and it's sending the data in a JSON package to your main TouchDesigner app. You have so many different options that I think a really good approach for them is just starting in TouchDesigner and then building. And then as you're going through this project, you can kind of make educated decisions about that specific project to see what's best. Because I think the unfortunate reality is, as much as many people like to approach this idea of, well, I'll make the one tool to rule them all, the one tool to bind them, or whatever the Lord of the Rings, I think it's written on the inside of the ring, whatever's in the ring. The reality is not that. I mean, most projects are slightly different enough in enough details that, and I've written about this on my blog, I find it almost easier to start every project from a blank slate than it is to start trying to build these really complex tool sets that can catch every edge case and are high level enough that I can use them on projects, but have enough different functions and methods that they can apply to all these edge cases, then I have to maintain it. I always find this idea of just starting from scratch, start with a blank slate, get working, and then make decisions as you go seems to be the best approach in most cases. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say a couple of things I do try to avoid with Python and TouchDesigner. And one of them is kind of what I call every frame Python. So that might be something like script operators. So if you're thinking about a script chop or script stop, any of these operators where you might write a bunch of Python in it, and then because of some input being cooked or the results need to be updated, this Python script is running every single frame inside of that project. Another good example of kind of this every frame Python are execute DATs. And just as Jeremy was saying, using things like the frame start and frame end callbacks inside of an execute DAT. If I have to turn those on, I start thinking to myself, hey, is there a better way I can approach this? Because there is a bit of, performance penalty you're going to take from running these Python scripts, doing calculations every single frame. And usually when I start thinking about, okay, well, I'm trying to calculate this one thing every frame, I started thinking to myself, well, could I build this in chops? Could I do this in tops? And then actually more recently, the idea is if we're trying to compute a bunch of code every frame, does it make sense to actually just make a GLSL shader that's running on the GPU that's going to be highly performant? It's going to scale, no problem. Then I start thinking about that avenue of things. And now that doesn't work with every single case, but that's what I start thinking at that point. Because if I have to run something on frame start that calculates a bunch of stuff, I'm not a huge fan of that. That kind of it's like an omen of things to come is, oh man, I've started using frame start to do a bunch of stuff. I don't really super feel comfortable with that. And then on the flip side, I will say the final point I had for this question was, TouchDesigner has come a long way with its built-in optimization of Python. Back in the early days, even doing things such as using Python inside of the expressions in your parameters was really slow, to the point where I remember in big projects, what I would do is I would work through the whole project as normal, use Python expressions, and then 2 days before it's time to finish it, I would actually go through and delete every single Python expression and replace it with T-script or some other more optimized version of what I was trying to do. Thankfully, I don't have to do that anymore. That has been a very nice change. The derivative folks, they've been working on optimization engines, caching engines, all these different ways of making their kind of little built-in Python interpreter that takes the parameter expressions and turns them into the values as efficient as possible. And I think at this point, you never have to worry basically about expressions inside of your project. I think you can use Python, go to town, references here, table expressions, all these kind of things. Very few times have I found in the last couple of years where I'm thinking, oh yeah, you know what? I've squeezed so much out of this project. I really need to get rid of those Python expressions. That is very much a rarity in my life, thankfully. So I think that's kind of my 2 cents on Python overall, what I would probably try and avoid, and just my general thoughts on workflow. So, even with all that said, at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to my original point, which is if it works and doesn't drop frames and, doesn't have any bugs, it's probably fine. I mean, that's the beauty of TouchDesigner. It's this open platform. However we can get to the solution, that's the way we get to the solution. Maybe it's not the most scientific method sometimes. Maybe it's not something you'd learn about in computer science school, but if it works, it works. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you're serious about learning TouchDesigner and getting into our interactive and immersive industry, I highly recommend you check out the Interactive and Immersive HQ Pro. It's the only educational resource and community of its kind for TouchDesigner interactive professionals. You can click the link in the description to learn more about that. And if you liked this video, hit that like button. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the little bell icon for more awesome free content.